So I'm happy that they got that relationship with him. But you could tell at the hospital when he died, my brothers and sisters and I were obviously upset, but the grandchildren were devastated, particularly my youngest nephew, because he was super close with my dad. So at that point, I needed to realize, you know what? I really haven't lived at home since I was 15. In fact, we had trouble finding pictures of me with my dad as an adult because I'd been away from home for so long. And yes, it's a tremendous loss in my world. But my dad was like what I called vacation dad. So like my dad would call certain times during the year, but like my dad didn't call, or even when I was talking to my mom, my dad wouldn't say, give me the phone, I want to talk to my son. And so my dad was always like in my life, but he was sort of like in the batter's cage on the field. And occasionally he would come out to help me do something if I was losing on the ball field. So my dad had the intellect. He always intuitively knew when his kids were not doing well. And especially when it was like financial shit, he always just knew. So he would creatively find a way to like give us money. So like my dad was a good dad, but my dad wasn't a present dad. So like, it's the one regret that I think he had is that he wasn't there for his kids as much as he could be. And, you know, like we've done like, so I'm still sad about it, but like,
it's raw.
But like, I'm more concerned, like I check in on my nephews and my niece all the time. That's who I know is really, really struggling with this loss. And my sister, because she still lives in our hometown, so she had a different relationship with my dad than the three of us did. So you know, so of course, and you know, and my mom was married to him for 55 years. And so that's a big loss for her. So, you know, I've been calling her every day. Well, not every day. I try to remember to do it every day. I actually haven't called her this week and I need to call her today because it's my day off. But
shame on you.
There's people that are more affected or that are struggling more with this loss than I am at this point. And I have my bad days too. But, you know, people are like, I can't believe that you're already back at work, and I can't believe that you're back at the gym, and I can't believe that you're back living your life. And I went, because the last thing my dad would want me to be is fucking sitting on a couch crying. That's what I do now. My dad would just, I was the first one that got to the hospital the night he died because I happened to be directly in the city when we got that call. So I had 1 hour with him and he was still present. So when the doctors were telling me about what my dad's wishes were, you know, I'm crying. And I could see that my dad, who was, you know, half dead, you know, there were tears coming out of his eyes because I'm the youngest child by 9 years in my family. And so, so he knew that like he had kept so much away from me for a long time. Like I didn't even know he had kidney disease for the first 3 years. It was something that everybody was sworn to secrecy about. They finally had to tell me because he had to leave his job and start going to dialysis. But like he found out in like, I think 2003, and finally like the beginning of 2006, my mom finally called me and was like, oh, you know, like we wanted to know what was going on and we didn't want to tell any of you kids. And she goes, well, actually, we just decided not to tell you until we knew what was going on. And your dad has kidney disease. And I was like, when did he find out this? And she goes, oh, a couple years ago when he had that heart attack.
So, you know, Chadwick, when did your father die? July?
July 17th.
Okay. Now, is your mother still alive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
you know, it's great that you have a parent alive. To still lean on and have that support. And mainly the fact that it's your mother.
Yeah.
Who is usually the caregiver in the family in the first place.
Yeah. And I find she's actually been leaning on us. Like we're all super adults
as she should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's, you know, like I feel bad for my mom.
You should be there. Who else can she lean on if not her children?
Well, she's got sisters in town. You know, she's got family in town.
It's not the same. Yeah. It's different.
Now, Jason, have you lost both of your parents? And how old were they when they passed away?
Well, it's not that. If I may have a minute, Steph.
Go ahead, we're listening.
My mom was sick for 22 years.
Oh.
And I was primary caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
She was rendered mute. So it was touch, feel, kisses on the cheek, kisses on the nose, hand feed her. Mm-hmm. For 22 years, I bathed her, I washed her, I changed diapers.
So when she died, it was, you were.
It was. I'm not ready. I don't want to talk.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
right. Hang on though. But Chad, wait,
Chad,
you'll get this, and Steph, you'll get this.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mommy has just passed away. Mommy, Daddy and I are grieving together. We're a team, and I'm the youngest of 3 macho South African rugby playing big boys, and I'm the fag in the family. Daddy loved me always. I can tell you, everyone, it's not a cliche. My dad was my best friend. He was my biggest champion, my #1 supporter, and my best friend. So we got to grieve together over Mommy. Now, Steph, Chad, 8 months. 8 months. My mom's just died. My eldest brother sits me down. He says to me, Jason, do you have any weed or alcohol, or do you have something in the house to calm you? And I said, well, I got many things. I don't know what he's alluding to. He says, I need you to sit down and don't talk. I said, okay. Yeah, all right. Daddy's been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. He has 2 weeks to live. I said, come on, man. I told Steph this afternoon. That's not funny, dude. Don't even. Why would you say something so cruel? Daddy has a brain tumor, and he's dying. He's dead. He's dying. I did not react well to that.
Nobody would.
Sorry.
You know, Jason.
Go, Steph. Go.
I know. I'm just giving you a minute.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm gonna give you a minute.
Thank you.
I understand pain, and I understand, that we miss the people that we love. I think about my parents all the time.
Every day.
And the fact that my parents were good to me. My parents were good to me. And I'm the baby of the family. And we even though we lived in a Christian household, my parents never talked to us about being gay or this fag stuff, because that's not just the way they were. They just didn't have time for that kind of stuff. They were too busy trying to work and raise their families the best way they knew how. And we were just lucky. We were just very lucky. I'm just going to say, me and my sister and brother were very lucky to have parents like we had, that cared about us and took care of us until the day they died. And even after they died, they still thought about me, the baby. Because they knew all those years of me being beat up in Toronto. They thought about me. And I say that all the time, and people go, well, what do you mean? It's like, I don't need to tell you that. That's more of a personal thing. But my parents used to always say to me, you're a blessed child. You just don't know it yet. I knew it after they died. And Chadwick, for me, I was trying to, I understood the disconnect from where you understood what was going on with your father. When you knew he was dying and you were sitting there